took a church on the field. We went and started churches in outskirts of cities where nobody was working yet, and we loved that. And then I've always liked to write some poetry. Some of it's silly and some of it's serious, but I wrote these songs, and Dr. Peake, when he was down there, he did put the music into chords, and the Adams, Melvin and his wife, did the instrumental on it, and so this is just a CD of some of the songs that I wrote, and so you're welcome to have some of those. A favorite that I produced, Ada was in about 7th grade, and my other daughter, and she needed to turn in some stuff about for poetry class or something like that, and her teacher, she turned in some of my writings, and the teacher said, "Oh, this is really good. Where did you get it?" She said, "Just on scraps of paper around in my mother's drawer." So he said, "Maybe you need to tell your mother she needs to grab some of that out of there and get it ready." So these are just, they're usually in my family's bathrooms. But it's just a little thing that stands up. But they were things, I still carry this old Bible. I have a better Bible, but if you looked at it close, you would see how it has been rebound. And I put my new name on the front, which is Mumsy. Everybody calls me Mumsy. But anyway, as I heard sermons that touched my heart, I would write down little parts from excerpts from the sermon that touched my heart, and so those are some of the things that were written in here. So it's not something I wrote. I just compiled it. So and they stand up. It's a perpetual calendar, so it stands like that. When you leave the bathroom, you can turn the page if you want. But it does have a date on it. So anyway, and then I'm really telling you what to do in the bathroom. That's really personal. And then this is the latest one because I had so many experiences in nursing, and so I decided to just put in some of those experiences, and that's what this book is about. And so a lifetime of reasons to choose nursing. I'd like to always convince Christian girls to choose nursing, but it's not for everybody, obviously. But anyway, so if you'd like some of those, and if you decide you'd like some more or something, I'll write down my address and I'll send them to you. I didn't write them to make money. I felt like God told me to write them. So if you'd like when you can take them off the table. Let me see if that's all the business taken care of. I told you what to do in the bathroom. Okay. I have developed a little bit of a cold on this trip, and so I don't have an outstanding voice anyway, but probably it's a little bit worse. But there's a song that I always sing when I talk about soul winning and missionary meetings, and I guess I need to use this newfound thing that I don't know how to use if I'm going to play a guitar.
Hold the mic before you marry.
Okay. That would be easier. I am not progressing with the world of electronics. I stayed way back but the Bible tells us so many ways and so many times that God was not willing that any should perish. I'm glad she's my friend, or she'd just stop me like that. She's a new friend. I didn't know her before this time. This is an older song. It's been in the hymn books. Maybe I'm going to put my specs on too. He was not willing that any should perish. Jesus enthroned in the glory above looked on us tenderly know that we, I think I'll sing one more song.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I know it was a good opening. I'm a terrible teaser. Okay. I just decided I'm wound up now.
We get to meet the rest of them tomorrow.
My voice is almost gone, I know, but this is a little song that I wrote a few years ago. I have done all the things that I talk about on this song, but let me see. I've lived in a hut and I've lived in a car. I've traveled for Jesus, both near and afar. I've packed and unpacked till my shoulders ajar, but there is waiting a mansion for me by a star. I've lived with the heathen, I've boarded with saints, I've had no abundance, but have no complaints. I've walked many miles to carry the light, but I'm awaiting requital where there is no night. I've had to say no to much reason down here about the best ways to live for my Savior dear. But if I stay in the center of His precious will, there is waiting a palace for me o'er the hill. I've suffered some danger and suffered disease. I've won many a battle alone on my knees. But when I see Jesus, whom I've tried to please, there will be a great reunion in eternity's ease. Jesus has been my dear friend. Jesus will keep till the end. Jesus has never failed one to stay true till the race is won. You know, to have Him as our friend is all we need. He is our counselor and He's always with us. I just wanted to share that I have lived in huts and cars and all, but it's so worth it to live for Him. I like that statement. It's in a song. He has made a wretch His treasure. I was a wretch, a lost wretch in sin, and He made me a treasure, and all of us are treasures. The devil tries to point out all of our faults, and he'll say, you're not enough of an example. You shouldn't be witnessing to the people. Just think, you're just not worth it. But we are treasures in the eyes of God. I love that song also that says, He knew me, yet He loved me. And there's a little poem. I was going to hand some out, but I didn't quite get them all copied. But it was saying, when I feel down, when I feel I'm not worth the time of day, when I feel like I've done everything wrong, I straighten my crown and I remember who my Father is. He's a king. We are children of the King, and it's so good to know that. And may the Lord help us. Some of the people I can't wait to see in heaven: Amy Carmichael, Uncle Bud Robinson. Those people are going to be at the top of my list to look for. But most of all of us want to see Jesus. So may the Lord help us to be witnesses. There are a lot of different ways to evangelize. There's the Roman road, Romans 3:23, Romans 6:23, that go through step by step. One of the tools that I think has worked so well, and probably you that have taught children have used it a lot, but the wordless book. And I think all of you know the wordless book, I bet, imagine. But the wordless book was written, as I understand, by a prison, not written, but prepared by a prison chaplain that went to see a man on death row and gave him a New Testament. And the man said, I don't know how to read, so I can't read it. And he went back to his office and prepared this plan of salvation in colors, which starts out with the black heart, and then it goes to the red heart through the blood of Jesus. And then it ends up with promise of heaven with the gold page and the purity of the white page. But may the Lord help us to find a tool that works for us. Like I was saying, that little lady that I work for, I planted these. There's a little tiny book like that that's just pure Bible portions. They're usually red, and we get them by the hundreds, and we use them a lot. But I had left some around that place where I work, and I was thrilled when one of the workers said, Mrs. Freeman found that book by her, and she read it, and she said, I feel better. So that was the first time that I think she'd probably ever seen the gospel written. But she said that, and then all of a sudden one night I just thought, I'm just going to pray with her. And I prayed with her, and she said, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. She was such a hardened person, but she's mellowing. And so the other night I sang to her, and I'm taking my privileges a little bit loosely, but I feel like we should do what we need to be living so close to the Lord that when He puts that His thumb in our back to say something, it's so important that we do it, because our souls are living forever. So may the Lord, again, Proverbs 11:30, the fruit of righteousness is the tree of life, and he that winneth souls is what? Wise. Or she that winneth souls. So may the Lord help us. I know all of us have people on our heart, but may the Lord help us to find the way, the pathway. And remember that Jesus one time said, well, I need to go to Samaria. Why did he need to go to Samaria? Because there's a wicked woman over there that needed him, and he made an extra trip. The Samaritans hated the Jews, but he did that. So sometimes he may ask us, as you're driving from point A to point B, remember that lady you used to know that you worked with or something like that? Remember that family? Why don't you just take an extra distance and go by and see them? And I can't tell you how many times that has happened in my life, and it's so important to just. There was a man. I went into a restaurant to pick up a carry-out food, and a man was sitting there. He was a millionaire off of Jupiter Island, and he was so he was pretty proud of what part of Holt Sound that I live in. Well, he said, "Oh, the Bible College." That's like, you're not on Jupiter Island. You're not rich. You live, but he said, "Well, my son married a girl from Thailand, and they live half of the year in Thailand and half of the year on a fancy place up north where people live." And he said, and she's Buddhist. And I said, and I think it's good to have an answer ready. The Bible says have an answer ready. And I said, if you try to talk to somebody that can't hear, and you want them to see you and they can't see, and they can't talk or hear or see you, is there any benefit in praying to them and expecting them to help you? And that made him kind of mad, but I've gotten where I say that. I say that very we just need to have an answer. I mean, that's an idol. Idols cannot, and that's why it's the 10 Commandments. It says, it proves that. So may the Lord help us to have some answers ready. Be sure that we can say, well, why would you pray to Mary? And why would you pray to Mary when she was a very nice person, but she was not God or the mother of God. She was Jesus' earthly mother, and but so many people, they don't know that, and so they waste their lives praying to somebody who's not alive anymore. So may the Lord help us to have a plan. When Jesus was here, he also knew that there was times when he said, I'm going to go away for the night, and he would spend the night in prayer. And he also rose up, it says, a great while before day. And sometimes we lack that. We're very, very busy, especially in the USA, and we keep going and going and going. Amy Carmichael, one of my heroes, I can't wait to meet her in heaven. One point I worked in a library at a Christian school in Guatemala. I read some of her books that were about that thick. But remember when she was a little girl, if you read that, she wanted blue eyes so much, and so she'd wake up in the morning and run to the mirror because she was praying about it, so God could do it. And she'd run to the mirror and look, and they'd always be brown. They're still brown, they're still brown. And then God called her to India, and she, with her brown eyes and coffee on her face to make her skin look darker, she put a cloth over her and ran and snatched little children, little girls that were used by the wicked, evil priests in those temples. If God would have given her blue eyes, she could have never done it. She needed those brown eyes. So some of the things we may pray for and pray for and pray for, and they don't happen. God has a plan. He has a reason for not allowing that to happen. So may the Lord help us. We all have crosses to bear. Oh, but one of the things I was going to say about Amy Carmichael that I thought was good, she said, to go forward, you have to get away. And she knew that for her girls, that she ended up helping hundreds of girls there in India. But she right away, besides the school and the church and all, she had a place way out in the country where they can get away and relax and just enjoy each other. So sometimes I think we overkill in the United States because we want to get away all the time. And but sometimes we don't. Sometimes, especially in Christian work, there's not a real day off for a pastor as a rule. If you have an assistant pastor, then you have more chance. But may the Lord help us to stay alert, and we have to do that some by getting away. We have to just get away and be at a place where nature, that's what a retreat is, right? And that's why we're here. But may the Lord help us to know that we don't need to have the intensity of the common American personality that we just got to keep working. Well, if I got a job, I can work 3 days, maybe I can do 2 days at another place, and maybe, and then we just get carried away. But the Lord wants us to get away with Him. He wants us to spend more time, just Him. We all have crosses to bear. We all have things that we're doing for God that are sometimes heavy, and a lot of times people say, "Oh, I know Sister so-and-so. Her husband is so-and-so, and she suffers." But I liked this statement that said, "You may think you see my cross and wince for me, but greater is the cross I bear that only Jesus knows." And that happens a lot. He knows what we're bearing that's hard. And it's so often not what other people are looking at when they think we're really suffering, But God knows our heart, and He knows that cross, and He is the one that helps bear that burden. So when we talk about witnessing, often just in the line at the grocery store, if you have the glow of the Lord on your face, and you can just stop for a minute, I'm going to show you a little acrostic in a few minutes. I promise if the sun comes up, I will stop when I see it. Because see up there when those trees are glowing, I know it's not really. But we need to be ready to give an answer. And a lot of times you can say, oh, how much did you pay for that? You know, you're seeing they've got a roast and it was less than you thought or something. That's not going to help them get to heaven. But if you could just look in their face, you know, have you been working extra hard? Or the lady that's waiting on you, you know, I'm sure that this is a pretty hard job. Or may the Lord help you and give you strength. I think you have something on your mind today. I just want you to know I'm going to pray for you, because I can tell that maybe you're under a little bit too much of a load. So may the Lord help us. When we're standing in the line, take advantage of it. I end up flying more than I even want to, but I'll stand in line and people are a lot of times tense. They're tense about flying. But on airplanes is where I've gotten some of my best chances of witnessing. One time I was witnessing so in earnest with a man to my right. I ended up in between two men. And I was talking to him and he was listening, but pretty soon he said, you know, I don't really believe what you're saying. And so when we stood up to get off the plane, the man on this side said, I can't tell you how much I needed to hear what you were trying to say to that man. So, you know, one time I was on an airplane, it was pretty soon after I'd heard about this plane going down in Alaska. I had read about that, and I read it in a religious thing, that there was a Christian on that plane, and she stood up and testified to those people and gave them the plan of salvation before they were all gone. And I thought, I want to always be faithful if there's any chance of anything I can do. But so I was on a plane, and when we took off, they said, we're sorry, but we've lost the landing gear. It's not working, so we're not going to be able to land as usual. We're going to circle around and go back to North Carolina where our repair garages are, and we are going to be real careful and go slow. I was seeing the belly of that plane going, but I just felt like, you know, God had me read that story for a reason before this flight, and so I just stood up and I testified to the people on the plane. I just want your attention. I just want to tell you that we know that if the plane is landing without landing gear, and it didn't make it good, that it could catch on fire and we could perish. But I just want to tell you, you can be ready. When death comes, you can be ready. And I prayed with them, and I'm not the kind that would talk to a crowd like that, but I felt like God wanted me to, and I did. And when we landed, what they did, they went so slow that you couldn't tell we were even moving. But when we landed, there were ambulances and fire trucks around, but we didn't have any damage. May the Lord help us to take advantage of where we are. Because a lot of people are kind of tense on a plane. But if you're sitting right next to that person, you can so often open a conversation and share the gospel. So may the Lord help us to send notes and have tracts ready, and also just have that look on our face. A lot of people have said, you know, you don't look like most people. You look a little, that's pretty bad, because I'm getting very old and I'm probably scared. Well, it's my husband, he's so funny. He says, you know, a lot of people try to help me. I must be very important. It's because he looks old and feeble now. And so people say, oh, you can sit at this seat, or you can. But he likes to tease a lot about that. You know, the other day somebody said he looked like some movie star, but he doesn't. But anyway, he said the other day, he said, people are getting my door, even ladies are getting my door, because they don't think you can open the door. But also the other day he called me, he said, I was trying to get some coffee, and this lady came and she did it for me. I was having a little trouble with the machine, and she did my coffee for me, and then she paid me for it. He said, I'm really getting old. I'm enjoying this. But may the Lord help us. If we see somebody struggling in a way, they're not walking is good or something, may we as Christians be the first to help them. May we see that there's a need. Keep our eyes open. And more than anything, whatever we can do, to do it with a warm, loving smile that God would want us to have. I pray that all of us will do what we can. I'm going to, I was thinking about Jesus, that he did get up a great while, it says, before day, and departed from the disciples to be alone with his God, his Father. So may the Lord help us remember also that Jesus ate with the publicans and sinners. That doesn't mean that he hung out in bad places. He just wanted to be with sinners that needed him. So may the Lord help us whenever we are in any place that we can witness for people. Jesus said, I didn't come to call the Christians to repentance. I came to call sinners to repentance. So he wants us to be able to do that. So I learned about an acrostic lately that I hadn't run into, and I think it might be something that you might enjoy. It's important to have little tools that we can use sometime that can help us to know how we can witness better. And it's a simple way because it uses the word speak. Because sometimes maybe we're a little bit too quiet, but in this example, it uses the word speak, and so that we could just remember. If you have a note or place to write that down, you might want to do it. The S stands for start a conversation. And I know that's not easy for everybody to like the dull chatty Cathy sits around and talks to people they don't know. But may God help us to try to start a conversation, whether it's something very light or anything. But you really look nice in that today, or do you think the hurricane's going to miss us? That's what our conversation is in for. But just start a conversation. And I used to do a blood pressure clinic for older people years ago. I just had as part of my job, and those sweet people would come in, elderly people. They'd come in there, and I'd say, "Well, how are you today?" And they'd say, I haven't said anything yet today. I can't even get my mouth to work. And a lot of people, they live alone. They don't have anybody to talk to. They would love for somebody to come up and talk to them, And so start a conversation. And can anybody want to tell me what your idea would be as far as a good way to start a conversation? What could you say to a stranger? Come on, give me some input.
Think it's going to snow?
I can't use that in Florida, but I'll try. No. You can talk about the weather to get them started, but or a lot of times you can say, "Didn't God give us a beautiful day? Isn't it wonderful that so and so happened?" And say something positive, because I know a lot of people, they don't say anything positive or think positive. They're just so, whether it's politics or whatever it is. So start a conversation, just a little tiny thing. Say, "That blouse sure looks nice on you," or something like that. Anything that would be to let them know that you care enough to talk to them. Because a lot of people don't have anybody that cares enough to talk to them. So the second thing, it says, pick their brain. And a lot of times you say, "Did you grow up around here? Are you a grandma?" Or is something about that, something that you can just think that they'll have to answer. And you just say, "I'm from so-and-so. Is that where you live?" Or something like that. Just to pick their brain a little bit to get them started. And a lot of people are dying to talk to somebody and nobody talks to them. And so if you just pick their brain a little bit, well, I bet you're from Louisiana, or this or whatever. And so pick their brain a little bit. And then expect them to appreciate that someone cares about them. A lot of people need that. You just expect them. Most people would like for someone to say. Sometimes even at church, we just stand up and run out because the roast is burning, but it's nice to say something kind to the people on our way out, you know. But expect them to enjoy being spoken to. And another step of this on the A is ask questions. And of course we kind of covered that on the prior thing, but just can I help you with your cart? Are you parked near here? Do you have an umbrella? And ask a question, but try to ask a question that would be meaningful, that could bring you into something more serious. Are you attending church anywhere? Or do you know we're getting ready to have a program? I would pick you up if you'd like for me to. You know, I'm having a Bible study at my house. I've got about 3 or 4 new ladies at my Bible study. My husband first thought I was kind of joking when we came back to the States. I've always had ladies' classes and I've always had children's classes. And I said, I'm going to start a ladies' Bible study. He said, you are? I said, yeah. Every week? Yes. For 24 years I've had it every week. We had to buy a special table, so we sat about 16 at my table. It takes up most of my dining room because we don't have a very big house. But do something that you can reach out people that need it. But it's very important to get them involved. Ask questions and kindly offer prayer. Kindly offer prayer. Well, a lot of times they'll say something, well, you know, my son was in an accident, or this happened or that happened. Let's just step over here and have a little prayer. That has so much power. More than all your advice. Well, my son, when he had an accident, you know, sometimes that's how we answer somebody. Well, I did that. Well, yeah, I had appendicitis, and you know, that doesn't get anywhere spiritually. But kindly offer prayer. And I couldn't believe that I would ever be praying with my patient, but now, in fact, a boy aide from Brazil, he goes by when I'm tucking her in, and he'll put his hands up for prayer, like, don't forget to pray with her. So it's wonderful how even a very hard person, they'd love to have somebody pray with them. When I pray with her, she says, oh, that was so nice. I never thought she would get to that place. But you know, a lot of people, the softness is right below the surface. We've just got to probe that and live a life so they want to be helped. So have a good verse, a good comforting verse. He cares for you. Or, you know, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Something we can just bring out into a conversation. Have the Bible on the tip of your tongue, and also share it with others. I don't know. I don't know how many of you would have probably a lot of experience in this, but may the Lord help us to know that Jesus is our great physician, and He came to call sinners to repentance. He didn't just come to give all the Christians a better life. He wants to call sinners to repentance. And even if we just befriend them and we don't guide them into salvation, we haven't quite done what He planned. He wants us to guide them into repentance and encourage their heart to do that. The Roman road is good and a lot of different methods, but may the Lord help you to find one that really works for you. And then add something new to it every once in a while so that it's fresh. And I pray that each of you will be able to do that. And remember, speak to people. So many people don't have anybody to talk to. And it's so important to bring Christ into that opportunity. So may the Lord bless you. I think since About half of you are asleep? I'll go ahead. Not really. You've been a good audience, and I appreciate you. And it was good to be with you, and may the Lord bless you, and may we do what we can to win souls. The Bible says he that winneth souls is wise. So may the Lord bless each of you, and your efforts be fruitful. And we have some new souls, their names written down in glory, because we've gone to an extra mile to reach out. God bless you.
Thank you, Mary. Wasn't that wonderful? Mary, I would like you to just close for us in prayer, if you would pray for the ladies, please.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Jesus, we just want to thank you that we have an audience with our King. You are our King. You're our Savior, our Sanctifier, our Leader, our Guide, our Healer. And Lord, for everyone that's here tonight, I pray that you'll help us to rejoice in Thee and to know that you've given us the truth. And we mustn't keep it to ourselves like the children's song, hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. Help us to let it shine even more than the past. Help us to let it shine by the glow on our face. And may it shine in whatever you want us to do. And the words of our mouth, may they be a blessing to others. Be with everyone here. You know every heart. Well, we've already enjoyed the fellowship and the time. Looking forward to tomorrow. And thank you for all those that put so much together so that we could be here and everything could be so lovely. And I pray that you'll help us, Lord, that when we get to heaven, that we might be able to bring some people with us and not get tired of those that we've worked with that haven't made it. May thy name be glorified. Dismiss us now in peace in Jesus' name. Amen. I just thought of an example. I'm going to close with this, but there was a very thin, deformed lady that I found in a public place, someplace, and God said, you need to help her. So for 12 years on Sunday afternoon, I rode my bike 3 miles to visit her. And just recently she went to heaven. And she came to my Bible study and everything for many years. But may the Lord help us to say, Lord, lay some soul upon my heart and love that soul through me so that I may do my part to win that soul for thee. God bless you. And John.
All right, ladies. Thanks again, Mary. That was just wonderful. I needed that. Not to be discouraged when you work and it doesn't happen. Don't ever give up. So I want those who come behind me to find me faithful and not had many friends go on to glory. And there was one girl at work, and one day, and I want to share the story because I felt like I should, but you know the times you look back and think, I wish I would have. And one of the things that if you know me, I talk to people, and I do. The Lord lays people on my heart all the time at work, and my husband thinks I have a sign on my head or out front or something. But anyway, God has just given me a love for people. And one day, there was a nurse, and she had cancer. And I was working labor and delivery, and it was a really busy day, and it was one other nurse and I in this one section. And she had come back to work, and she came back around the corner. I can see her to this day. She had a scarf on her head because she had lost all her hair. And we were really busy. And she came back, and she came around the corner, and she was with somebody, and she said, I just wanted to, talk to you guys a minute. And I don't remember if I said or the other nurse, but one of us said, it's really busy, we'll try to catch you later. Do you know, I never saw Nancy again. live. And God has used that so many times in my life to, you know what? Sometimes it's okay if you're busy just to stop. And I've shared that with some of my coworkers because it's real easy at work to be told you got to keep going. And, you know, don't take time. Don't take time for people. We live in that kind of world. But you know what? I wish to have talked to Nancy that day. And I don't know if Nancy's in heaven or not, but God used that, and I'm not proud of that. But He's helped me to grow from that. And so I don't want to be found wanting. Thank you, Mary, for sharing that with us tonight. Okay, ladies, we are, let me see, what time are we at here? I wanted to give us, okay, it's 8:29. I would like to have us about 10 minutes, so at 8:40, so it's 8:29, my watch is sometimes a little, or my clock's a little bit fast, but 8:29, we're gonna start the fire out there in about 10 minutes. If you wanna go and get warm, I'm sorry, what? Oh, it's already on? Oh, okay, I guess it's glowing up there. Okay, so we have something very nice this year, because it used to be for our fire. Well, we used to go like right down over the hill, but that was hard for a lot of people to get to. So then we started to drive down to another place. But when they built this facility, they put the fire right out there. And there's picnic tables, and those of you who've maybe never got to come to the fireside praise, praise, what do I call it? My campfire praise. But those that maybe didn't come before because it wasn't convenient, maybe you could go this year. And I don't know how chilly it is. I haven't been out there in a little while. But you could grab maybe a blanket in your room or something, but come out and join us. And so we'll do that. We'll start that about 8:40. And then at 9 o'clock, we'll give the ladies that do the snack time to prepare that. So 9 o'clock, I'm looking at, does that work? Okay, so at 9 o'clock, then we'll have snacks. So you can join us out there. If you don't want to do that, you can go to your room, but we will give them time to prepare the snack. That is over in Byers Conference Center. That's over on the other side, on the bottom floor. So you can walk out here and just walk right over there, and most of you are staying over there. And right at the close, the fire's right out here, so if you don't need to go back to your room or anything, feel free to just stay here and wander out there. We'll have some time of testimony and praise, and then we'll head over at 9 o'clock, okay? The other thing I wanted to remind you is tomorrow morning, Bible study right here. Linda Paulus will lead us, and that's at 8 o'clock. So. And then we're having brunch tomorrow. So look at your schedules. We don't need to go over all that, but look at your schedules, read your name tag, whatever you need to do. But I wanted to give you that reminder. Abby, Carol, or Linda, is there anything else you would like me to mention at this point?
Credit card if you didn't pay.
If you didn't pay the craft?
Credit card.
Oh, if you had trouble with the credit card when you...
It was a card, so it's
Right. So if you came in and you tried to pay with a credit card and we had trouble, they're ready for you now. So if you could see them afterwards. Okay, anything else, ladies? Okay. I'll see you around the campfire.